This is the story of my backpacking trip through South America. I start in Ecuador, where I will learn Spanish and see other parts of the country. I continue traveling through the Colombian landscapes, from the desert to a 4-day hike in the jungle to the lost city. From there, I fly to Bolivia and meet my friend Aranca. Together we travel to great heights and the freezing cold. In Argentina, I only visit the northern part and check out the area of Salta and Buenos Aires. I cross the border to Brazil to see the Iguazu Falls and end the trip in Rio de Janeiro. In the last 2 days before Aranca had to leave, we had a full itinerary. Our alarms went off at 5 a.m. and we got ready for our tour to La Isla del Sol. It was a 4.5-hour drive through the scenic landscapes of Bolivia. We drove from La Paz to the Titicaca Lake, where we took a ferry to arrive at the island. As usual, I was dressed optimistically in a dress, while everyone around me was wearing winter clothing. We got to explore Copacabana for 2 hours before we took the boat to the island. We walked around and sat down for some coffee and coca tea and joined the rest of the group for lunch. Once we arrived at the island, we took our time to take photos. The island and the views was so beautiful. You could definitely feel the difference in walking in altitude again, after spending just a few days in lower altitude. We visited an Incan temple that was made for the god of the sun, and then we went higher up to a viewpoint. And then we arrived to the Fountain of Youth, so of course we had to try the water. We walked down a stairway of 1,000 steps and returned for a delicious meal to Copacabana. We arrived around 10:30 back in the hostel and went straight to sleep to get ready for the next activity the following day. Today we plan to go mountain biking on Death Road. We were picked up at 8 a.m. and drove for a few hours to the starting point. Once we were there, we had to dress up warmly in protective clothing, and then we just followed the guide downhill. It was a ride of 20 kilometers on this newly paved death road before reaching the original road. You will see the difference straight away and feel the rocky road in every bone of your body. A good thing to know, because of the newly paved road there are much less deaths. There used to be 200 deaths in a year, and that is reduced to an average of 1. The guide told us there are still accidents almost every day, usually because people get too close to the edge or use the wrong brake. Nowadays the new road carries almost all the traffic, while the old one is mostly used by the locals. We are now mountain biking on the sandy and rocky road, which is known as the Death Road. We make a stop at the first village to take some photos of the viewpoint. Then we continue cycling. Weirdly enough, if we encounter other traffic, we need to stay on the left side, so on the side of the edge. Then we arrived at the perfect spot to have a break. Our guides gave us a little snack and we rested for a few minutes, while enjoying the view. And although cycling wasn't hard exercise since we were going downhill, our butts and our hands needed some rest. In this part, we come across water and cycle carefully through some muddy parts. The last part was much more an open space, and the lower we got, the hotter it became. So at the end, we could take off our jackets and cycle in a t-shirt. We arrived at the finish line and had a nice lunch at a hotel nearby. We had the option to swim, but since it was Aranka's last day and it was still a few hours before we would be back, we chose to stay for an hour, drink a cocktail and then return to La Paz, where we had another delicious dinner and enjoyed a few drinks in the hostel. On the next episode, I will travel further south and visit Argentina. Because of the winter season, I chose to visit the northern part and leave Patagonia for another time.